Hello and welcome back to another video of this robot framework tutorial. Until now, we have worked with creating a test case file, we have worked with the settings section, the variables section, and the test cases section, and we have learned how to create simple test cases using simple methods. So in this video, we will tackle the keywords section and we will learn how to address and add keywords to our own test cases in order to execute both simple and more complex actions. So as we know, the test cases are actually composed out of keywords. This is a keyword that is defined inside the built-in library. This is the same keyword that is described inside the library. So each time I want to create a test case, I must use a keyword from a library or a keyword that I have been composing to make a certain action. So basically, you have the possibility to use keywords that belong to certain libraries or to use keywords that you have created yourself. Let's say, for example, I will delete this line. And let's say, for example, that I want to execute this same test case with this same result, but I want to change this from the basic keyword to a keyword that I created. So for that, I will go to the keywords section, and from the first column, I will type down the name of the keyword I want to use. I can give it any name, but I must be careful not to give it the same name as an existing keyword from an existing library I want to use. For example, what this test case does is to log a certain message. So it logs the username from this dictionary, which in this case is test user. So I will create a keyword that is named log my username, for example. Then I will hit enter. I will press a tab, and under this keyword I will put the actual keyword from the built-in library which executed this command. Now I can go back to my test case, and instead of writing this line, I can write my own keyword. So when the test will be executed, Robot Framework will parse this test case, will address this keyword, and will search for its declaration. And after it finds it here, it will execute all the keywords that are underneath. Okay, let's try to execute that now and see how it goes. So I will go robot -d output. Remember, we will put the output in the specially created directory so we can maintain a good structure of the automated project. And then I will say --log level race, and I will choose the destination of the source of my test cases. So that will be tests test case 1.robot. As soon as I execute this, I'm getting the warning, and you know from last video that this means that when I'm calling out a value of a dictionary, I should replace this sign with the $sign, but that is not important for this example. So from the created log, I will open it in browser, in the default browser. And now if I open the structure of my test case, I can see that the test case with the name test executed a keyword named log my username, and under that keyword it executed the same keyword I previously had, and that was to log the value of the username key inside the dictionary, and in this case it logged the test user. Okay, let's change this here. And let's say, for example, I also want to log my password. I will create another keyword. So remember, from the first column, I will give a name for my keyword. So that would be log my password. And as a result, I will give it an action, so log. And I will use the same dictionary and instead of username, I will use the other key, which is password. Okay. So now in my test case, if I want to log both the username and password, I have the first row which logs the username, and then I have the second log which will log my password. As you can see, thanks to 𝗵𝗶𝗏 and its autocomplete function, when I'm starting to type in the name of my keyword, I immediately get the suggestion, and I can browse through the suggestions with the arrow keys, and once I find the keyword I need, I simply hit enter, and there you have it. Okay, let's run this test now. Okay, the test has passed. I don't see any warning because I replaced here the values with the $sign. Let's go ahead and refresh the page with the log, and now when we expand this, we can see that our test case was composed out of my two keywords. The first one logged the username, okay, and the second one logged the password, which was demo in our case. So that's how you can simply create keywords and call them inside your test cases. Of course, this is a very simple, a very basic example of how you can actually create and use keywords. And if there are some of you who don't actually understand at this point what this log keyword has to do with automation, because when you talk about automated tests, you talk about tests that actually do something, tests that control a browser or a mobile device or things like that. I can understand your confusion, but please take into consideration that this is the basic stuff that you can learn in Robot Framework in order to be able to advance more quickly after that. So moving on, let's say that, for example, I want to combine these two keywords and have one keyword that will log my username and password. So I will show you exactly two methods of doing that. So instead of having two keywords like in this case, I want to have one keyword. I will create a keyword named log username and password 1, and I will show you why in a minute. So in the first example, I will use the two keywords that were under the keywords I created. So as you can see, if we follow the same method right now, if I'm trying to log both messages, I'm not forced to call out these two keywords, but I can call directly the keyword that contains both. Alright, so when Robot Framework will parse this test case execution, it will find this keyword inside the test case, it will follow it to its declaration, and then it will execute the commands that are found underneath. Let's run this test case now. The result is passed. I will refresh the log. And right now I can check and see that the keyword that was executed inside this test case was this keyword log username and password 1. So it's the exact declaration I used. And then underneath I can find the two keywords that were executed exactly as in the declaration. There is no limit of how many keywords you can have underneath a keyword that you specified. So you can have a keyword that is as long as you want, it has as many rows as you want, but be careful when you use it and when you declare it, not to use too many steps, because that will be very volatile and you will be susceptible to errors. Okay, let's now create another keyword that will do the same thing but with a different method. For example, I want to log username and password 2. The first thing I want to ask myself is, what am I trying to execute using this keyword? Well, I want to execute the same actions I executed before, but I want to keep in mind that this keyword was already used and has its own user created keyword here. So now, instead of having this keyword declared under my new keyword, I will use the keyword that I already created earlier, which does the same thing. And for the second row, for the password, I can use the keyword that I created earlier specifically for the password. So if we look at the first declaration, we used the log of the username and the log of the password. In the second case, I have a new keyword that is calling this created keyword, so log my username, which in turns logs this username, and then I'm trying to log my password. And if we go to declaration, we can find out that this keyword is composed out of the log for password. So in theory and practically, these two keywords do the same thing, but as you can see, it is much simpler to use a declaration like this. If I already declared a user-defined keyword for a certain action, when I create a new keyword and I want to include that, it is a very good method to simply call out the keyword that has the action we want underneath, then to retype the same information once again. So now if I go to my test case and I want to execute username and password 2, I will execute this test case, I will open up the log, and sure enough, now I can see that under the test case, the first keyword that was executed was log username and password 2. Under that, we have log my username and log my password. If we extend that even more, we can see that log my username contains the log of the username. If we extend that, we can see the result. And log my password, if we extend that, we can see that it returned the value of the password key. So that is demo. So that's how you use simple keywords. You create keywords with the name you want, and then you can have predefined keywords under that, or you can have other keywords that you find in different libraries. Okay, one more trick about keywords, and the reason why keywords are so powerful is that you can have keywords defined that will actually log in the values you want depending on the arguments you use. We did not touch the arguments part yet, but I will show you right away. Let's say I will have here a second dictionary where the name is testuser2 and the password is demo2. Okay? So let's say, for example, I want to create a keyword that will log the username, but it will log the username I want from a given dictionary, not only the static username. So as you can see here, when I call this keyword out, it will log the username belonging to this dictionary, because this is how I declared it, and this is a static keyword that will only and always log this message. But for example, I want to create a keyword like log my specific username, and I want to use this keyword to log both the username of this dictionary or the username of this dictionary. So I want to use it in all my test cases where I want to log a specific username. So this means this keyword is going to become globally available for all the test cases and all the cases I want to use it in. So I will want to log, and here I will log something, and this is how you use arguments. So let's say I want to log a variable. No, let's give it the name username. Okay, but I don't know who this username is. So for that, I want to go directly under the declaration of my keyword and type in arguments and have a variable, the same variable, and this is the syntax you can use to make a keyword globally available. So this is how it works. When Robot Framework parses this keyword, it will go underneath and will see that it must be called out with an argument. And it will replace the value of that argument inside the keywords that are executed underneath. So I will type in log my specific username, and now I have to choose which value I want to log. Let's say that first I want to log the username of the dictionary, and then the value of the second one. I actually have the first one right here, so I will copy paste it. And then in the second example, I want to log the value of the username key from the dictionary too. Okay, let's understand how this works. I execute the test case. Robot Framework will parse the test case and will find this keyword with this argument. So it will take this value, dictionary username, it will go to the declaration of the keyword, and this argument means that I must have one argument to call my keyword that I declared here. Not 2, not 3, not 0, but 1, because this is the number of arguments I gave to my keyword when I created it. So log my specific username, and the value is dictionary user1. So what Robot Framework will do is to parse this keyword. It will find this keyword underneath, and it will replace the value of this variable, which is declared in the arguments section, in all the places of the keyword where it appears. In this case, it appears here. So it will go to declaration, find the argument inside the keyword, and the argument will be here. So actually it will log the argument that was given when we called out the keyword, in this case dictionary username. In the second example, it will make the same thing. It will log the argument that was given when this keyword was called out, and in that case it will be dictionary2 username. Okay, let's see if that works. I executed the test, everything seems good. Okay, so we have log my specific username with the first from the first dictionary. So the result was test user. And in the second case, we have log my specific username dictionary 2 username, which in this case was test user 2. All right. We will now try to log both username and password from given arguments. So I will type in log my specific username and password. So now, in order to log both username and password, we will need 2 arguments. One argument is for the username and one argument is for the password. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to type in arguments. We will have one variable named username and one variable called password. What you must keep in mind is that these arguments that are declared in here only belong to this keyword that is right on top. The value of this variable has nothing to do with the value of this variable. So they are local variables used only inside the keywords where they are declared. This is simply coincidence in the name. I could very much have here, I don't know, username 2 and password. So you don't get confused with using variables with the same name inside different keywords. Okay, so what I want to do is to log. First, I want to log the username. So I must use the same name for the variable that I used in the argument section. And then I want to log the password. Okay? That being said, when I want to log my specific username and password, I know that I have to give 2 arguments in order for this keyword to work. The first argument will be, let's say, the username from the first dictionary. So I want to log the first username, tab, or at least 2 spaces, and then I will log the value of the password key for the first user. Let's go ahead and make a Control D, so we double the line. And I also want to log the username from dictionary 2 and the password from dictionary 2. If we look at this declaration, so when the test will be executed, robot framework will parse, will find this keyword, and will read the 2 arguments. Then it will go to the declaration, and first it will replace the first argument with its value. So here we will log the dictionary username key, and then it will replace the value of the second argument each time it finds it inside the keyword. So in our case, the second time it will log the value of the password key inside the dictionary. Let's run this test case, refresh, and there you have it. The first keyword had, so the username 2 was equal to test user and the password was equal to demo. In the second example, the username, the value for the username 2 variable was test user 2 and the password was demo 2. So that's how you can create your own user-defined keywords, and that's how you use them inside your test cases. Very quickly, let me show you that you can have this type of declaration with the keywords that we already created. So This one I will delete. So let's say that 𝗃𝗵𝗲𝗰𝗸 is also a keyword that I want to make as universal. So I'll type in arguments and I will give it a value like username. And now I will go ahead and replace this here. So now my keyword that is called 𝗃𝗵𝗲𝗰𝗸 is universal because I can give it any argument or parameter I want and it will log that message. Inside the 𝗃𝗵specific username and password, I can now use this keyword. Alright? But because I have this arguments section, it means that it must be called out with one argument. And that argument is inside this keyword set as user2. As I was saying, this is a local variable belonging only to this keyword, and this is a local variable belonging only to this keyword. I will do the same thing for 𝗃𝗵password. I will type in password. I will put the same variable here, and in the second row I will simply call 𝗃𝗵password, and I will give it the name, actually I will give it the value, the variable that is declared under the 𝗃𝗵password keyword. Okay, so now let's say I want to log this. I will relaunch the test, I will refresh the page, and I will analyze the results. So I have 𝗃𝗵specific username and password with two values, test user and demo. Inside I have the two keywords that I created, 𝗃𝗵username, which has underneath the log command, and then I have 𝗃𝗵password, and underneath I have the log command. If, for example, you fail to type in the necessary number of arguments for a given keyword, Robot Framework will see that and will throw out an error. So I know that 𝗃𝗵specific username and password keyword requires 2 arguments, but I will give it only one to see the error message. Alright, so there it is. The test has failed, and I get an info message that says keyword 𝗃𝗵specific username and password, expected 2 arguments, got 1. So from this type of error you see, and you can know that your keyword failed to execute because the minimum number of arguments was not specified. Alright, enough about keywords and the simple declaration of keywords. The next video will be the last video of the first chapter, and that is the creation of a resource file where we will transfer all these variables and keywords that we created, and I will show you the power of using resource files to create and maintain your test cases. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again in the next sessions.